It's Wednesday and it's 11 o'clock, and that means it's time for Elevenses with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. Thank you for joining us today. Every Wednesday, we get together. If this is your first time watching, we get together here in our little space and we meet with our fabulous publishers, representatives, and our booksellers, and we talk about, we get the inside scoop actually on all of the new upcoming and recently released titles that our fabulous reps are eager to tell us about, so that you can rush right out and order them. And I do every week add to my to be read pile, which is already massive, because all of these guys have such wonderful books that they want to talk about. And I'm going to introduce all of them in a moment, and I also remind you that all the links to all of the books that we talk about today will be down in the chat area there, so you can go ahead and click on those later and order them from Diesel, and you don't have to do it right away in case you miss it. But before I introduce everybody and we get going with everybody's fabulous books today, I just want to tell you what is going on at the store at Diesel in the coming week. Tonight, we actually have an event. We have Alma Katsu, and she's discussing and signing Fiend. And that is going to be tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the store, Wednesday, October 15th. So Alma Katsu discussing and signing Fiend, and joining her in conversation is going to be Sarah Langan. So that's going to be tonight. Don't want to miss that. Got a really fabulous event coming up on Thursday, this Thursday, the 16th, tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. We've got Cory Doctorow, and he will be at the store discussing and signing Enshittification, why everything suddenly got worse and what to do about it. Cory Doctorow is great. You don't want to miss that one. That's going to be a great event. That's tomorrow at 6:30 at Diesel. And then we have Emily Rosen on Sunday, the 19th of October at 3:30 p.m. Emily Rosen will be at the store reading and signing Waiting for Max, a NICU story. So that's going to be a fun event there on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. And then the last one I want to tell you about today is Lucinda Berry. She will be at the store on Tuesday, October 21st at 6:30 p.m. And she will be discussing This is a Safe Place. Joining her in conversation will be James Quealy. So that's going to be Tuesday, the 21st at 6:30 p.m. And I know that was a lot of information, and that is why we have a link that you can just go ahead and click, and you can see all of the events coming up at Diesel, not just in the next week, which is a busy week for us, but into the future. So, all right, having said all of that and given you that information, let me introduce the reps who have been waiting and very eager to talk to you today about their books. We have joining us today Andrea Tetrick from PGW. Hi, Andrea. Julia Callahan from Hachette. Always great to see you, Julia, and always great to see you, Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books. So you guys are fabulous. You've got fabulous books lined up. Let's get right to it. Andrea, why don't you start us off?
Thanks so much. It's as ever an honor and a privilege to be here with you, Deborah, and Joey behind the scenes, and just a great rep group. As usual, we have amazing reps in the Southern California region, and it's a joy to work with you towards the betterment of society through handing books to folks, and keep it up, everyone. The first book I want to talk about, speaking of books, is Unabridged, The Thrill of and Threat to the Modern Dictionary. This is written by Stefan Fatsis, who is a New York Times bestselling writer, for Word Freak. And this is a lively romp through the exotic world of Merriam-Webster, dictionaries, language, and also an exploration of how words and dictionaries are at threat right now, basically because of Google and AI. And I don't mean that like suddenly we're just not going to have words, but the author does explore how usage is changing because of the internet, and who knows what's going to happen as AI moves forward. But he does discuss this. But it's also a deep dive into Merriam-Webster and the history of that company and how they basically fought off a lot of contenders to be the main player in dictionary generation back in the day. It's just a really interesting look at words. So anybody who's a reader or somebody who likes word puzzles, etc., this is for them. Teachers, librarians, kids getting ready to go to school that are English majors or writers, I think this would be a great gift for them. And this all came about because he was invited to become an embedded lexicographer in training at Merriam-Webster. And so he was an embedded journalist basically and learned how words are added to the dictionary, how updates, new additions are made. It's just fantastic. It's a great book, and really happy that this is out right now. I think it's a very timely volume. And this is from Atlantic Monthly Press, the sister publisher of Grove. So it's going to get a lot of attention and publicity for this out there, out and about.
I love this kind of book, and I would love to be. Can you imagine being embedded at the dictionary? This would be,
I know.
I'm
I
just like,
know.
it would be so much fun, I think. Um, a great book for right now when we're seeing so much, well, AI and censorship, and also AI, which is doing like really amazing things to language and uh, books, and it's really anyway. Let's not go off on that. But this is great. This is a fascinating book. I saw this. It looks absolutely. It's totally my kind of book. I love, you know, breaking down words, finding out how they find their ways into how the language evolves, all of that kind of thing. And Merriam-Webster actually has this. They really do have a great social media presence. They're right on it. If you follow their accounts on social media, they are snarky and clever and subtle. And you,
Yeah.
if you read a lot and you understand words, you really will enjoy their all of their social media accounts. They're fantastic. They're a great follow. And so I think. Sort of proving the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have a podcast, Word of the Day, which is fantastic. And it's maybe 2 minutes long. But it's very timely and snarky, like you say. Sometimes there's irony in the word choices each day. But it's a great way to just kind of immerse yourself in words. A lot of times I'll do like just play like 10 in a row, to get a nice little.
That's so genius, though. Like a little 2-minute podcast. I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah, it's really great. So
Anyway, this is a fantastic book. I love this kind of book. It reminds me a little bit of Word Slut, Amanda Montell, which also breaks down language and how it, affects so many different things, specific word choices. So thank you, Andrea. Great start. Julia, what have you got first for us?
Okay, a big one for us first. This came out yesterday, so you may have seen its authors on a couple of the morning talk shows. This is called Gone Before Goodbye. It is a collaboration between Harlan Coben and Reese Witherspoon. And so this is, it's been such a fascinating sort of journey with this book. It's a, mystery crime novel with some thriller elements, much like a lot of Harlan Coben's work. So if you like Harlan Coben, you'll definitely like this. Um, Reese and Harlan knew each other before they started working together, um, but had this like great partnership. We got to hear about it a little bit, and had this great partnership. And it's been so fascinating to listen to both of them talk about how they worked together, how they create characters. And I got to tell you, there's a character in here named Pork Chop that is getting a lot of play. People really, really love Pork Chop. So it has these characters that you want to follow. Harlan Coben is one of those crime writers that I always think about, somewhat of the tiers of crime writers, and he's one of those ones that a lot of buyers at a lot of bookstores ask me for galleys of him. He's great at what he does, and with Reese Witherspoon, just the creation of these characters, and if you listen to her talk about it, it's fascinating to think about, what she sort of did that's so different than what you do as an actor, which is she had to create characters and think about them, and she wasn't about to play them. So, thinking about sort of the interiority of some of these characters where she's like, I'm not going to play these people in a movie or in a TV show, but I still have to think through all this. And so, her work as an actor definitely helps in how they created the characters together, and how they sort of plotted things out. It's a fantastic novel. Honestly, I've gotten so many booksellers who were lucky enough to snag the few galleys that were out there, that have like texted me and told me just how much they enjoyed this book. So I think it's a really fun one. It's a really, it's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. It's good for a rainy day, as we are experiencing right now here in Southern California. Yeah, I think everyone's really going to like it. So it came out yesterday. So a few people have read it now, but it's definitely one that's going to keep you interested. And I don't know if I want to say it's like a one shot where you just sit down and read the whole thing, but if you got a little bit of time, you definitely could. So, yeah.
Yes, I was not one of the lucky booksellers who got.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You can't. I mean, you can't have them all. Some you have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been super curious about how it reads. Because you always wonder. I wondered about the Louise Penny and Hillary Clinton combination. That sounded like it could go either way for me, but it wound up being really good. And because they each sort of contributed something unique to them in that book. And I am assuming that this is probably the same kind of thing. Harlan Coben's great. He's just got such a broad appeal as well. And the adaptations of all of his books are in so many different languages and countries. And it's kind of interesting to see. So,
and he's talked about like he was not about to jump on this collaboration train. And just something about he and Reese had like ran into each other somewhere and were just sort of chatting. And she had this idea and he really loved it, and so that's how they sort of
it's great. I mean, and her book club is one of the biggest book clubs out there, and she's got some really interesting. She doesn't always do the same kind of book, and they're kind of unpredictable, and she goes different ways sometimes. So I'm excited about this one. I'm sure it's going to be it's definitely going to be a big one for us and for everybody. So lots of fun. Thanks, Julia. All right, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Diesel, for having me. Awesome to be here with Julia and Andrea, and happy to talk about 3 books today. First, I'm going to jump in with one of our really cool food and drink books from the fall list. This is the Cocktail Diaries from Sam Heughan, and this comes to us from Quadrille Publishing, which is one of our distributed publishers at Chronicle. They do many of our food and drink books. I'll give you some quick background on Sam. He is a best-selling author. He wrote the Clanlands books that were New York Times bestsellers. He's also the star of the Stars, the Channel Stars series, Outlander, which has done 7 seasons on the channel. They come back in early 2026 to wrap it up. He is a world traveler. He is a dashing, handsome Scotsman, brooding, as you can see from the cover of the book. So really, who better really to sit down with and explore cocktails from around the world than this handsome, brooding Scot? My cat is hovering. She has a crush on Sam, so she is just out of camera range, and she may intrude here in a minute. But basically, it's a spirited adventure. Sam has traveled the world because of his job. He wrote, and I have to cheat and look at his bio because I can never remember these details here. He hiked 100 miles along the West Highland Way in Scotland, and that became the book Waypoints, which was also a New York Times bestseller. So he's traveled the world, he goes everywhere, and he loves spirits. He has his own amazing distillery company called Sassenach. This is one of the little bottles of it. Some of the recipes in the book use this particular Scotch whiskey. It's a blended Scotch whiskey. There's a whole section in the back. Not all the recipes have to be made with this, but of course it's his brand. So, he wants you to go buy it and make some stuff with it. But basically the book is his travels. He talks about bartenders that he meets around the world. He kind of attaches a story to each cocktail, gives you the history of the cocktail, and then how to make it yourself. So obviously it's a recipe book. His signature drink is called Sam's Sazerac, and it's a boozy cherry spiced cocktail that's very spirit forward, using, of course, his own whiskey. There's also, recipes for classics like a Manhattan. Here's Sam chewing on sunglasses, which I always think is very alluring when people gnaw on the arm of sunglasses while sipping a cocktail. Please use that for the call-out clip. The Boulevardier, which looks really gorgeous. He tells a story of drinking this in Harry's Bar, one of the most famous cocktail bars in Europe, in Paris. And he... it was a favorite of F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein, and George Gershwin. So he gives you the history of these places where he drinks these amazing drinks. He tells you how to make them. So it's like a perfect armchair traveler or armchair sipper sort of a book, a beautiful gift. Here's the French 75, which you can drink before you go see one battle after another for the 14th time, like everybody seems to be doing right now, since the terrorist group is called, Liberation Group is called French 75. There's a bunch of variations on Negronis, which is my favorite cocktail because it's one of the only cocktails I can remember how to make by heart. 3 simple ingredients. And then the whole back of the book is called Made by Friends. And this is where he introduces you to cocktail bartenders from around the world. They tell their story, and then the cocktails that are their signature mixes and what they make. There's a section in the back on how to stock your pantry, what kind of ice to use, all kinds of in-depth cocktail creating tips. It's just a really handsome book from a handsome dude. This is sold in very nicely. He has a huge following, both from the TV show, obviously. Somebody Deborah, is a tremendous fan that got to meet him. He did a quick little promotional tour. And many people that work in my bookstores, and I kind of pulled this out of my little satchel, just went all goggly-eyed and said, "Oh God, we love Sam, and we're so excited about this." So he's got a built-in audience, and it's just a fabulous drinks book with a little bit of world travel and adventure included. So that's Cocktail Diaries, out now.
Who doesn't love this guy? Come on. Look, and I do have the I've got the pen.
Hey
right
now.
there. Yeah.
Nice.
We're big fans, obviously, in this house, as you mentioned. I mean, he's such a he's a terribly handsome guy, and there's people who will follow him anywhere and drink whatever he says to drink. Sure. And he, like you mentioned, my daughter is also a bookseller and a huge fan of both the spirits and him. And Dave, you've been very kind, making sure that she gets all of the merch that comes out. But it looks like a lot of fun, this book, and also got some great recipes in it. So I know Julia wants a copy, probably, right?
I think it's
You
great.
know,
Oh, go ahead, Julia.
I was just gonna say, you know, I love a cocktail.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that the section where he visits with bartender friends around the world and talks about cocktails, I think that's great. That's a nice little added element that is not that's rare. That's a
Yeah.
key selling point, as we reps would say.
Yeah, you don't see that in cocktail books a lot. I think it's a cool angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a thoughtful book. You know, it's not just his face everywhere and his spirits. You know, it's thoughtful. It's well thought out, and there's some different angles. And he did that. Did you mention the show that he did with the other guy from Outlander?
I didn't actually.
Yes. What's it called? Help me. Help me.
I don't remember. It might be in the bio.
But there's a fabulous show of the two of them just tromping around the Highlands and checking out various distilleries and you know, points of interest along the way. It's a lot of fun. Their banter, really, that was a very enjoyable show to watch. We'll figure it out, and then we'll post a link, or Joey will. That's what'll happen. Thank you so much, Dave. All right, Andrea, back to you.
Thank you. I'm a big Scotch fan, so I have to know about that show.
The show is great. It's super fun to watch. They're like half-hour episodes, and really
great. The book I want to talk about next is In the Circle of Ancient Trees, Our Oldest Trees and the Stories They Tell. This is just beautifully packaged for holiday gift giving, for sure. And it basically discusses dendrochronology, the study of tree rings, and covers the stories of 10 species of ancient trees from around the world, their unique environments and climates, and what they have to tell us about the history of the world. There are three of these trees discussed here do occur in the United States. The bald cypress, the giant sequoia, and the bristlecone pine tree, which lives in the Eastern Sierra, where I'm from. And someday I'll tell you the story of how my grandfather, who was the Forest Service supervisor, when they found out how old those trees were, helped to preserve them and have the forest designated as a preserve. So anyway, that's another story. It's just like, this book is great because it basically narrates the stories of all these 10 trees that are discussed here. So it is like a story, and how these trees came to grow and thrive in the microclimates where they now exist. This is a perfect gift for a tree lover. The array of places, I forgot to tell you this, the array of places that it covers across the world is 6 continents and 8 countries. So something for everyone here, and it does traverse a good chunk of the planet. So that's that. It's a beautiful book. A nice hardcover with 50 color images and 50 color images, and then 2 color illustrations throughout as well.
You know, there was a moment where there were a lot of tree books. I remember we were having, you know, quite frequently just tree book displays. Just there were so many of them, and then it kind of leveled off. And then I haven't been seeing as many. So this is great because they always do really well, and they're always completely fascinating. The tree books, the trees are probably. I look at trees a lot and wonder how long they're going to be around, and realize how important they are, and then get nervous about them not being around.
Yes.
So
I hear that.
Yeah. So I think the more of these kinds of books we have, and you know, like the term tree hugger goes back a long way, but I feel like, you know, there's a sort of increased importance.
Indeed. And this, I forgot to tell you, this is from Greystone Books, and they really publish well into the broader nature category, and so their editorial sensibility is perfect to publish this book for sure. And they hail from Canada, so they're one of our north of the border publishers that we love to work with.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Andrea. All right, Julia, back to you.
All right. My next book it's coming out next Tuesday. I'm not here next Tuesday, but I wanted to talk about it because it's one of my personal favorites of the season. So this is Yakira Diaz's This Is the Only Kingdom. Yakira Diaz came out in 2019 with a memoir called Ordinary Girls that was very well received. People absolutely love that memoir. But This Is the Only Kingdom is her first novel. And, you know, we've talked a little bit on here, there's the cover, about how, you know, we as reps don't always get to read the whole book cover to cover. This is one of those books that I refused to put down and read cover to cover. It is, oh my God, it's such a beautiful book. It's about these 3 generations of women in Puerto Rico, and sort of how each generation deals with a number of different things. I mean, they're, you know, being women in the patriarchy, being women who are forced to sort of be the ones that keep their family together and keep their family going forward. And then also the ways in which each subsequent generation gets to be a little bit more themselves than the one before. So this novel is definitely hard at times. It's tender at times. It's gorgeously written. You will fall so deeply in love with these characters and these women who just keep going forward, even in the face sometimes of truly great adversity. This book, I don't know, it just touched my heart so deeply. And the final sort of generation of women, you know, gets to be the most themselves out of all of them. And so that's what I'll give you, because this is a really special book. It's a book that it'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh, it'll warm you, and it'll challenge you. And so I think this is one to, you know, as we sort of get into the cold season and you know, you can hunker down with a little bit more of a serious book. This one is the one. It's so good. So yeah, this is Yakira Diaz's. It's her. She's a finalist for the first novel prize for the Center for Fiction for this book. It's already gotten huge accolades, and it's not even out yet. But this one I just can't recommend highly enough. It's so gorgeous. So This Is the Only Kingdom by Yakira Diaz. And she grew up in Puerto Rico. So is now in New York, but grew up in Puerto Rico. And so some of it is based on she sort of saw or experienced and all of that.
If you're going to recommend this book so highly, Julia, I think I have to read it. I haven't.
know.
This is another one that I know. This is another one that I haven't seen. That is such a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cover.
Really beautiful.
Definitely, right?
Yeah.
Really beautiful. But that sounds fantastic. Seeing a lot more really interesting and well, more than usual, I think, novels set in Puerto Rico from Puerto Rican writers, which I think is really great. And this one looks fabulous. So
Yeah,
on sale
definitely.
next week.
Next
Thank
week.
you. Thank you. All right, Dave.
Okay. My next book is it came out a couple weeks ago, and this is called Cold Joy. A little glare there. This comes to us from author and podcaster Libby DeLana, and it is a book about the wondrous powers of cold water and cold water plunging, which is something that has taken on a lot more popularity in the past few years. And with temperatures getting cooler in the next few months, it seems like a pretty timely book for us to release in the fall season. Libby talks about how, in the intro, she discusses how all her life she resisted cold. Who wants to plunge into cold water? And by cold water, she's talking about under 60 degrees. Some people do go out when it's like freezing and they'll plunge into a lake or the ocean or the river. She says anything over 60 feels warm to her. So, people that do this and people that reap the benefits of doing this have different comfort levels and how cold they want the water to be. So she discusses that. But she writes about her experience. The first time she took a plunge in cold water was in a group of women. And the way she writes and tells the story and relates what it did to her and the feeling it gave her is really beautiful and really lyrical. I like this intro in the book. Won't you come in, the water said, rolling onto the beach, depositing vacant shells and pebbles, strange but perfect gifts at my toes. I waited for a moment. She reached for me again, and this time I reached back, walking in up to my middle, letting her hold me, move me, love me. For the past 5 years, I have started most of my days dancing this dance with the cold water. It is ritually significant to me, an expression of self-love, earth love, spirit love, and people love. The water is my partner, my guide, my classroom, and my playground. It is truly a comfort to me. But cold water is uncomfortable, isn't it? So she goes on to say that when she took the plunge and she was, full of caution and trepidation about doing it, it opened something up inside of her. And it was like an experience where she had all this anxiety and fear about doing a thing. She threw herself into it and did it. And she said that it led her to then ask herself inside, what other experiences have I resisted? What other things have I been afraid of? And if I can do this, what else can I do? And what else can I kind of broach and challenge myself to tackle? So in a way, the cold water plunging opened up a lot of different ways of thinking to her and a lot of different kind of attitudes in her mind. The book is mostly text-based. It's got some nice, visual breaks, pictures of like her plunging groups, experiencing these things. There are talks about water types, climate types. If it's something you're afraid of doing and you don't want to just drive down to, Santa Monica and jump into the ocean, it's something that you can practice at home in a cold tub of water, in your pool, in a jacuzzi that you haven't turned the heat on in, all kinds of ways to ease yourself into cold water plunging and just reaping the benefits. It's a really beautiful book. It's very heartfelt, and I think the writing is very affecting. Cute little trim size. It's like a very nice gift. You can't see this, but it's got a little sparkle spot gloss on the cover that makes it kind of magical, and it pops. And it's a 1995 little gifty hardcover. So out now, a really beautiful, beneficial, and warm book about a cold subject.
Warm book about a cold subject. Nice. Thank you. What a great gift. I think there's so many different kinds of people that you could give that to. That would be that is the kind of thing that I would really, really enjoy reading without doing, I think. But maybe if I read enough about it, because I've seen people doing it, and there's, all of the annual, the New Year's Day cold water plunge
Mhm.
that people do, all of that. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah. But it'd be great to read about it. It sounds really like it's written very, very beautifully and very poetically. So I can think of people who would be a great gift for it.
Many people swear by it as a way to short circuit depression
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a shock to your
Mm-hmm.
system that it just basically resets your whole mood.
Well, I
Which,
mean, I would do it if I could be guaranteed that that would happen for sure.
yeah.
Instead of just. Thank you, Dave. All right, Andrea, why don't you start off our last round of the day?
Thanks, Deborah. This book, this final book I want to talk about today is from Heyday, our Berkeley-based mighty indie publisher that we love to work with. It's called California Rewritten, A Journey Through the Golden State's New Literature. This is a book of original essays highlighting contemporary writers in California, edited by one of the most prestigious and well-connected editors in American letters today, John Freeman. He is the executive editor at Knopf these days, but he was the founder of Freeman's, a revered literary annual of new writing. That really paved the way. He's basically a celebrity editor. And yes, that is a thing, people. It really is.
It is.
Yes. I am just going to read. So I'm going to pull this up here. Let me see. Okay. Yes. I'm just going to read a quote from our own Elevenses host, Deborah Ginsburg. This stunning collection of essays highlights the diversity, dynamism, and sheer talent of California writers. Each essay highlights a different contemporary classic work by a veritable who's who of celebrated Golden State authors. California contains multitudes, and this lively collection is sure to become its own instant classic. I can't recommend this wonderful book highly enough. And that's all. That's it. That basically wraps up my presentation. I can't follow that. That's a beautiful endorsement for this book. And I think this is an excellent gift for anybody in your life who's interested in writing in California. And it's a darn good price, too. Let me see. I've lost my my screen. It is 400 pages, $30 for 400 pages, hardcover, paper over board. So it's a handsome volume. It's chunky, and I think that's a value for sure for how large it is. So.
Yes, thank you for that, Andrea. I wasn't expecting that.
Thank you. Thank you for that endorsement.
I loved it. It's a fabulous book. I mean, I don't, how can you go wrong with California writers? How can you go wrong with California at all? So, but it's really, it's great. And a lot of writers and stories that you wouldn't expect and then that are kind of unexpected and put in there. It's a fantastic collection. It's really well put together and just sort of compulsively readable. I loved it. So thank you, Andrea. Highly recommend. Great book. And I know we'll do well with it. So, all right. Thank you for that, Andrea. We're going to move on to you, Julia, for your last book of the day.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with California for my last book of the day. I have a favorite, Miriam Gerba, who wrote Mean and Creep. Her new book out with Timber Press, which is our like press that does like a lot of environmental stuff, gardening, that kind of stuff. So I was surprised to see Miriam Gerba on this list, but she has written a new book called Poppy State, which is also out next Tuesday. And Poppy State, A Labyrinth of Plants and a Story of Beginnings. So this book, much like Gerba's other books, she has like this sort of impressionistic style of writing. It's very stylized how it's laid out on the page. This is no different from her other books. If you've read either of those, you'll know sort of how her writing looks and functions. But this book really, really touched something in me as a, third generation Californian. For me, this book is all about this. Well, it's about both the plant life of California, and she ties that into her own life as a Chicana woman, partially indigenous woman to this area. She talks about, colonialism through this lens of the plant life of California. So native plants, invasive species, things like that. And she does it in this just gorgeous way that really like pulls you through, and you sort of, as you're reading it, you realize like how interconnected plants and people and the landscape around us all are. So she's has this effect to sort of like make you see all of these different areas of like that seem disparate but really are interconnected. And I feel like you sort of start to see this whole picture as you're reading the book. It's gorgeously written. It is at once a love letter to California and also a sort of takedown of colonialist practices. And I just think it is unlike anything I've ever read. So it's beautiful. Miriam Gerba, I think, is one of the treasures of California. Sort of going back to what Andrea was just talking about, the new California literature. She is one of our treasures of that. And this is no different than her others. A wonderful book, a treasure of a book, and one that you'll want to keep coming back to. So
this is so interesting, Julia. When I saw that you were when I looked at the cover for the book, and like you said you were going to be talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, who's that? And like you said, really unexpected for Miriam Gerba. You wouldn't think, but it sounds like, and I haven't read it yet, it sounds like she's sort of really been able to mesh her style with her point of view in a completely different and very interesting way, which is quite intriguing, I think.
And I think a step forward in her writing. I mean, really
Mm-hmm.
unlike, I mean, it's in certain ways similar to what she's written before, and in a lot of ways it's unlike anything I've ever seen of hers before. And I've read all of her books and some of her criticism and stuff like that. But
Right.
but she is just a fascinating writer, and I think yeah, really, really different than what we're used to seeing, but in a way that I think is really, really effective. So
Yeah, I think this is what a great angle to take. I'm really intrigued by this. So excellent. Thank you, Julia. Dave, you want to wind it up for the day for us?
Bringing it home. All right, I'm going to feature a children's title that is on our fall list. This is called All About Antarctica, a fact book about the southernmost continent. You can get a nice image of the cover there. This comes to us from illustrator and author Marc Martin. He is an award-winning author and artist based in Melbourne, Australia. He is a two-time winner of the New York Times Best Illustrated Children's Book of the Year. And he wrote a book a few years ago for Chronicle called Everything and Everywhere, which I think is spectacular. And it's the same trim as this. It's very much the same size and same intent. So we're calling this second book An Everything and Everywhere book to kind of create a series out of these two books. And we will keep this going with Marc. And basically, he works in watercolors. And I'm going to show, if you can switch back. He does these very detailed, beautiful watercolor spreads of a place that none of us, I would imagine, are going to end up traveling to anytime soon. You can go home and watch The Thing if you want to go to Antarctica for a flavor. But basically, he shows you all kinds of amazing visual details, what you wear when you're in Antarctica, done in these really cool watercolor illustrations. Here's what research stations are comprised of. Here's all the equipment and the vehicles that you would find on a research station. There's text that accompany these drawings and these watercolors as well. The transportation, an entire amazing spread of icebergs and flows, all the different shapes and formations, and all the different kind of details, all the different ways that they do research in Antarctica, all the different stations and the construction of them. It just goes on and on. What people do for relaxation and fun when they're trapped in a research station in Antarctica. I have to switch screens here. Hold on. This is great. McMurdo Station, stationed in Antarctica, has pizza available 24 hours a day. There's even a pizza hotline to call ahead and request your favorite toppings. He talks about different formations and different spots throughout Antarctica that are distinctive. Loomis Rock in the Wilhelm Archipelago off the coast of the peninsula is named after Lummo, nicknamed Lummis, who was a cat that was part of the British Graham Land expedition from 1934 to 1937. And Lummo enjoyed curling up in the snow. So you will learn all kinds of incredible facts. His style is just so good. I mean, I urge you, if you're in the store or if you come across his books in person, please dig in and look. His watercolors are just really warm, very detailed. But like, I'm into a book that has this much information and all these kinds of graphics crammed into it that is not overwhelming. It is not a mess. It's not too busy. He just has a beautiful sense of space and layout, and somehow he manages to put so much on each spread and each page in this. I love this kind of book as a child. I loved anything really busy and that was just deep with detail that I could return to again and again, dig into. It's just a beautiful, really fun book. I love Marc, and I really like what he does. This is an $18.99 hardcover and out now.
What
This
a
is
deal.
the kind of yeah, it's a great value, but also this is the kind of kids book that I love to read now as an adult, which you don't necessarily have time to get into a thick and detailed adult book about Antarctica, but you want to know a bunch of stuff about it and you're intrigued. And these books are amazing. Like, they're just very informative for adults as well, but for kids, I think it starts, like you said, you this is the kind of book you loved, and myself as well, and probably all of us, who are involved with books now. This is
Yeah.
the kind of book that we absolutely love, where you get lost in it, and it fosters a love of learning about different places and things and people that continues on forever. That's the best part. And those illustrations are gorgeous. But honestly, I feel like and Antarctica is a very good place to be learning about right now as well. Again, getting back to climate and indicators of the coming, no, I'm not going to say apocalypse, but what could happen. So great to know about all of these kinds of things. And this is a great book that I would sit down with, or stand at the counter and read quickly and learn. So I think great for everybody. Fabulous book, beautiful too. So
It's a key detail that pizza is available 24/7.
Right, probably essential.
I want to know where they get the toppings from, but I'm sure that's explained somewhere in there. Right?
I'm sure it's in there. I'll take it. I'll circle back.
Freeze dried.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dave. What a fantastic collection of books we've had today. Like every Wednesday, it's like an embarrassment of riches. And this has been such a great season, and all of you are so wonderful and generous to share all of your books with us today. We really appreciate it. And appreciate you being here today. Andrea Tetrick from PGW, Julia Callahan from Hachette, and Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books. And thank you, Joey, behind the scenes. I forgot to call you out when we started, producing everything and providing links, etc. And thanks everybody for watching today. We really hope you had as much fun as we did talking about books today. And we're going to be back again next week, back at it with more reps and more books and more book conversations. So we hope that you will join us then. Come back again next Wednesday. In the meantime, you've got some reading to do after today. So enjoy. Happy reading, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again, everybody.